I was curious going into things because people are like, oh, I've said this before too. Like, well, what were people going to protest for? What do you think they went for? And I've kind of given, like, well, they've got 1776 signs, they're all screaming like hang Pence or whatever, which are arguments you can give. But I was curious. So I went through Trump's tweets because another argument I was given is like people were there to decertify the election. That was the whole point of what people were protesting. They wanted the election results overturned. So I went through all of Trump's tweets for like the weeks leading up to January 6th. These tweets are unhinged. What the fuck? So starting on December 19th, Trump tweets out a 36-page report alleging election fraud that would swing victory to Trump and tells people that there will be a big protest in D.C. that will be wild. Statistically impossible to have lost the election. Trump tweets out that Russia and China may have been involved in hacking the voting machines during the election. The cyber hack. This is on December 19th. He tweets this out. The lie of the year is that Joe Biden won. On the 20th of December, he tweets out, greatest election fraud in the history of our country. He retweets Georgia Senator David Perdue about fighting for Donald Trump to challenge the Electoral College on January 6th. David is a great guy and a patriot. Thank you. Scoop, Georgia Senator David Perdue told me today that he will keep fighting for Donald Trump and challenge the Electoral College on January 6th. He retweets Tuberville talking about, suggests he will challenge the Electoral College while stumping in Georgia. Was he fomenting this intentionally? This is absolutely intentional. I just didn't realize how blatant it was until like going through and clicking on this. Why the fuck is this muted? Hello? Okay, whatever. Are you going to fight to make this election right? We're going to fight hard. What can y'all do on January 6th? Representative like Madison Cawthorn said y'all had tricks up your sleeve. Wait, just wait. You'll see what's coming. You've been reading about it in the House of Representatives. We're going to have to. We're going to have to do it in the Senate. He tweets a tweet claiming that's Tuberville. Okay, that was on December 20th. On the 21st, he does a lot of this bullying where he tweets out about people who are like 2 years ago, the great people of Wisconsin asked me to endorse a man named Brian Hagedorn for the state Supreme Court justice when he was getting destroyed in the polls against a tough Democratic candidate who had no chance of losing. After my endorsement, he easily won. Wow, he just voted against me in the big court decision on voter fraud. One thing has nothing to do with the other, but we ended up losing 4-3 in a really incorrect ruling. He does this where he bullies the fuck out of people. He tweets out this. Conservatives call on state legislatures to appoint new electors in accordance with the Constitution. On December 22nd, he tweets out, the Democrats dumped hundreds of thousands of ballots in the swing states late in the evening. It was a rigged election. So he's still doing this shit. He tweets out attacking John Thune. Republicans in the Senate so quickly forget. Right now, they would be down 8 seats without my backing them in the last election. Rhino John Thune, Mitch's boy, should just let it play out. South Dakota doesn't like weakness. He will be primaried in 2022. Political career over. And the statements that he's reacting to from John Thune was him saying that the Senate's number 2 Republican said Monday that any attempt by a handful of House conservatives to challenge the Electoral College's results, proclaiming Joe Biden the next president, is going down like a shot dog. So he was mad that he was calling out his like little scheme. He tweets out, I didn't realize how obsessed he was with OAN. Oh my God, he tweets out so much weird shit.
Speaker Newt Gingrich says he has no interest in, quote, pretending the current election results are legitimate and honorable. In an op-ed on Monday, Gingrich said officials in virtually every swing state broke their own laws to send out millions of ballots or ballot applications to every registered voter. He also stated virtually every swing state suspended normal absentee ballot requirements and points out ballot rejection rates were much lower than in other election years. Gingrich went on to say it's unlike anything he's experienced in his more than 60 years involved in public service. Former House.
So Newt Gingrich saying he's not accepting the election.
My fellow Americans.
Oh, he tweets out this video a ton.
I want to explain to you why I am so determined to pursue every legal and constitutional option available.
Here he talks about
to stop the theft of the presidential election.
To stop the theft. This is a 9.5-minute video. I won't make you watch this all right now. He repeats all of the same like election fraud claims. Like he always repeats the same ones: the Pennsylvania ones, the Georgia ones, the Fulton County ones. It's always like the same talking points. Despite the fact that, again, everybody behind the scenes and in courts were telling him over and over again, there's no fraud, there's nothing here, this is all bullshit, it's all based on nothing. Claiming that he won bigly. We won bigger than we ever have, I think he said. The biggest win. Retarded. On December 23rd, he uploads this video on Twitter. I don't know if this guy's OAN too, or this guy makes a lot of weird videos as well. This video just talks about how China and Russia rigged the vote. On December 23rd, he also tweets out this image. He deleted this tweet, I think, since. Called Operation Pence Card. Oh, this tweet is deleted. America, Pence must do this tomorrow to defend our Constitution from our enemies, foreign, China, Russia, and Iran, and domestic. And this is called the Pence Card, for how Pence could kind of reject the election. On December 24th, he tweeted out to remind those 8 senators that they better help him coup in the Senate. At a meeting in Florida today, everyone was asking, why aren't the Republicans up in arms and fighting over the fact that the Democrats stole the rigged presidential election, especially in the Senate, they said, where you helped 8 senators win their races. How quickly they forget, ... Tweets out again about voter fraud is not a conspiracy theory, it is a fact. On December 26th, he tweets out an Ali Alexander video. A Stop the Steal, hashtag Stop the Steal rally. What does Stop the Steal mean? Hashtag DoNotCertify, hashtag Jan 6th. Well, I wonder what that means. He tweets these 3 tweets out. The Justice Department and the FBI have done nothing about the 2020 presidential election voter fraud, the biggest scam in our nation's history, despite overwhelming evidence. They should be ashamed. History will remember. Never give up. See everyone in D.C. on January 6th. He retweets this guy. A coup was waged against Donald Trump. Multiple attempts. Russia, Ukraine, 150 we'd never even heard of. Outstanding men and women. And then these are the senators that were going to help him do the coup attempt. Must step forward at the moment of truth. The electoral counting votes.
Hi, Congressman Andy Biggs here. I wish I could be with you. I'm in the D.C. swamp fighting on behalf of Arizona's residents and freedom fighters all over the country. We're fighting for the freedoms that make great. We're fighting for our history, and we're also fighting for our future. President Trump's been the best president in my lifetime, has accomplished more in a short period of time with every wind blowing in his face, whether it be the media fighting him at every turn, to be the Democrats and the leftists fighting him at every turn, or even people within our own party. It's not unusual to see people in our own party fight the conservative movement because we're fighting for what's right. And so I wish I could be with you today. I pledge to you that I'm going to keep fighting for President Trump. And when it comes to January 6th, I'll be right down there in the well of the House with my friend from Alabama, Mo Brooks, and dozens of others who will join me as we look at some of the elections around this country and we say, how do you explain that? And we're gonna stand up for this president and for the voters of America. That's legal. Not only is it legal, that's constitutional. Not only is it constitutional, it's a moral thing to do, and we're going to keep fighting. I implore you to keep fighting too. God bless you for being here today, and God bless this great country.
He tweeted this: time for Republican senators to step up and fight for the presidency like the Democrats would do if they had actually won. The proof is irrefutable. Or irrefutable. Irrefutable? Irrefutable? Irrefutable. More votes than actual voters. There were Pennsylvania memes. The courts are bad. The FBI and the justice didn't do their job. The U.S. election system looks like that of a third world country. But when it's all over and this period of time becomes just another ugly chapter in our country's history, we will win. On December 27th, he tweets out his see you in D.C. See you in Washington, D.C. on January 6th. Don't miss it. Information to follow. On the 29th, he tweeted again. Can you imagine if the Republicans stole a presidential election from the Democrats? All hell would break out. Republican leadership only wants the path of least resistance. So you want more resistance? Our leaders, not me of course, are pathetic. They only know how to lose. P.S. I got so many senators and congressmen/congresswomen elected. I do believe they forgot. He does this threat a lot. I didn't realize how much he leans into that. I got you elected. You better do what the fuck I tell you to do. On the 30th of December, he tweets out another reminder, January 6th, see you in D.C. He tweets out this article by Mark Levin. This is an article where he goes through how to steal the election, basically. January 6th is the day we learn whether our Constitution will hold and whether congressional Republicans care. Basically, he goes over how they could reject the electoral vote. When Congress meets to count the electors, it will be the GOP's undoing and simultaneously the undoing of our presidential electoral system. Ultimately, it will be the people of the United States who love our republic who will be the losers. But he basically goes through how they could flip the electoral process in order to win. Despite what has been reported and repeated, the president is not actually or officially chosen on election day. The president is not chosen upon the certification of electors by the states. The process ends in Congress, and on January 6th, Congress, following both the Constitution and its own procedural law, make the final decision on who is to be the president and vice president of the United States. On the 31st, he tweets out, 2 different schizo videos from OAN. These are weird because these videos explicitly mention how the coup attempt will take place.
The battle continues for the White House as President Trump and his legal team continue to reveal and investigate the irregularities of the 2020 election. President Trump has several avenues to secure his second term. Primarily, the state legislatures have the constitutional authority and responsibility to select the correct electors for their respective states.
So they're referring to the fake elector slates that were sent in, and she's saying they should choose the fake ones. That's what she's saying, right? You saw video footage there, by the way, of Ruby Freeman, the same Georgia vote rigging false claims that had been made over and over and over again. These were OAN videos that originally propagated these claims, and they're still posting them, but she's referring to that right there.
Constitutional authority and responsibility to select the correct electors for their respective states. 7 states had both sets of electors vote on December 14th.
That's a lie. She's lying right there, right? She's pretending that there were 2 sets that were authentically sent in and certified or ascertained by the state legislatures and governor. That's not true, right?
Pennsylvania, Georgia, Michigan, Wisconsin, Arizona, Nevada, and New Mexico all had Republican electors cast their votes, as well as the Democrat electors. Currently, all 7 of the state secretaries of state have sent the Democrat electors to be counted. The state legislatures have the constitutional responsibility to ensure that the electors sent from their state are correct. The state legislators can effectively overrule the secretaries of state and
How do they do this out in the open without any public outcry? I just think it's a little bit too complicated and people don't follow close enough, maybe?
either select the Republican electors or decertify the Democrat electors. Hearings and evidentiary discussions have been taken to rule the secretaries of state and either select the Republican electors or decertify the Democrat electors. Hearings and evidentiary discussions have been taking place for weeks, and several of the legislators have concerns that the wrong electors from their states were selected.
That's not true, right? There's just random people, yeah.
President Trump needs 3 of the states to invalidate the Democrat electors or select the Republican electors. Another option for President Trump is the Supreme Court. Pennsylvania, Arizona, Wisconsin, and possibly Georgia have cases at the Supreme Court that could combine. Those 3 states have enough electors to switch the outcome of the election. The United
Switch the outcome.
States Congress could also play a role in the election. If the electors are uncertain or contested, Congress would vote for the president. One vote.
Congress would vote for the president. Remember, she's referring to the different wargaming paths of the Eastman memo now, right? Well, let's say, for instance, there's some confusion. Well, we could throw it back to the House delegation, where there are more Republican states than there are Democratic states. They could vote for the president.
Congress would vote for the president. 1 vote per state. There are currently more Republican states than Democrat states, which would give Trump an advantage. Democrats would have to flip Republican states and get them to vote Democrat. The Trump campaign has also benefited from local citizens speaking out. State legislators have been inundated by phone calls, emails, and protests telling the legislators that they believe the election was stolen and want transparency. The fact that so many state leaders are refusing hearings and refusing to allow evidence to be presented is very unusual and a bit suspicious. Many citizens have questions about why local leaders are preventing access to the machines. In the 2000
And then OAN does the same, like this weird election fraud.
All-time high.
He always says, like, the so-called win. Allegedly he won. When Joe Biden's so-called election win. He says it so much in this video.
And when you consider how many votes President Trump received this election, his supposed loss to bureaucratic Biden makes even less sense. This time around, President Trump picked up more votes than any other president.
That was on December 31st. On January 1st, Trump retweets a tweet, okay, this person saying, the cavalry is coming. She says cavalry. The cavalry is coming, Mr. President. January 6th, Washington, D.C. # March for Trump. The president is calling us to come back to Washington on January 6th for a big protest. Quote, be there, will be wild. End quote. Tweets out, the big protest rally in Washington, D.C. will take place at 11 a.m. on January 6th. Location details to follow. Stop the steal. Madison tweets out on, this is an earlier tweet, but Trump retweeted this in the first. This is why I'm objecting to the 2020 election results. The right to vote in a free and fair election is the cornerstone of our republic. Attempts to undermine this strike at the very heart of representative government of by and for the people. I will not be silent.
The battle.
Now he tweets out this video again. The same OAN video. On the second, there are so many of these. It's actually so crazy. Sorry, 4 more days. These are tweets on the second. Wow, I guess it's not good to go against a president who everyone in Georgia knows got you into office. More threats. And after they see the facts, plenty more to come. Our country will love them for it. Hashtag StopTheSteal. This is a retweet of the 11 senators that are, there's 12 of them now, I'm sorry, that are going to help Trump attempt to coup the government in Congress. These are set to vote against accepting Biden's Electoral College win. Senator Ted Cruz tweets, Trump retweets, an attempt to steal a landslide win. Can't let it happen. He tweets out videos of his stupid fucking march. Oh, this video, interesting quotes at the end, I think. Oh, sorry, I'm sorry. It's right at the beginning. Okay. This could be the biggest event in Washington, D.C. history. Okay. On January 3rd. Oof, real busy.
It may be a new year.
Oh, she does a whole fake election thing about how the election was fake and stolen.
Now, the power to invalidate electors rests solely with...
And she does the fake elector plot as well, with I think with Pence. She applies pressure to Pence as well from Fox News here.
The House and the Senate then go to their separate chambers and debate for 2 hours, after which they return and vote. Both chambers must agree to remove electors from that particular state in order to sustain an objection, and for it to even matter. Now, the power to invalidate electors rests solely within this joint session. If by chance there is agreement of an irregularity and the Biden electoral count is reduced to under 270, then Congress elects the president. The House votes for president. The Senate votes for vice president. The House votes by state. There are 30 Republican states and 20 Democrats. Now, this is nothing new. It's been the law since the 1880s. But to hear the Democrats, you would think that the process itself is made up, unconstitutional, illegal, and a just plain unethical plot.
Her comparison at the end of this video is unhinged. Hold on.
The only thing that is new is the venom Americans all believe. Elections must be free of corruption, even if there's a pandemic. No one has the right to intimidate us, shut us down, marginalize, or threaten us as we fight for issues both the Constitution and the laws of Congress have actually permitted. You know, it was on New Year's Eve, on the frozen banks of the Delaware River 245 years ago, that General George Washington's soldiers were freezing cold. They were hungry, without pay, facing almost certain defeat and no longer interested in fighting. They had one more day of their commission before they could go home. They weren't interested in fighting, and they weren't even interested in the pay that Washington offered them. So Washington dismounted his white horse, looked them in the eye, and talked about their moment in history.
Did Fox News know at the time that this was basically all a lie and illegal? Yes, all of it was a lie. All of it was illegal. They knew it. The brain room had verified and fact-checked everything as being illegal, and all of the execs knew that it was illegal. But they were all stressing because they were losing viewership to Newsmax and OAN. All of this is shown in the Dominion v. Fox News depositions. They knew about all of this.
And fighting for freedom and justice. With 3% of the population fighting for independence against tyranny, domination, and control, these hungry, tired, cold, defeated soldiers knew that it was their moment to stand up and fight for freedom. To many, January 6th is such a moment.
But the Biden rhetoric is too far.
It cannot be denied that all the bellwethers were upset, that the irregularities were beyond minimal, as we are all being told to simply shut up and move on. January 6th will tell us whether there are any in Congress willing to battle for the America that those soldiers fought for, the one that you and I believe in.
These are all retweets by Trump. Peter Navarro says Pence can reschedule the inauguration. More interesting is that he suggests the inauguration date of January 20th can be extended. If you only do what's easy, you will seldom do what's right. Trump retweeted this. We, the people, refuse to concede to a fraudulent election. The hashtag March for Trump bus rolls into Bowling Green today at noon. Senator Rand Paul, come join us and pledge to contest the Electoral College for states in which we know there was voter fraud. Hashtag Save America, hashtag DoNotCertify, hashtag Million MAGA March, hashtag StopTheSteal. He retweeted this as well. I'm honored to be invited to speak at the biggest event in D.C. history. Real Donald Trump will be our president for the next 4 years. Trump speaks to state legislatures on call about decertifying election via Breitbart. Trump tweet. On the 4th, Donald Trump tweets, how can you certify an election when the numbers being certified are verifiably wrong? You will see the real numbers tonight during my speech, but especially on January 6th. Senator Tom Cotton, Republicans have pluses and minuses, but one thing is sure, they never forget. I will be there, historic day, retweeting this could be the biggest day in history. Quote, we are not acting to thwart the democratic process. We are acting to protect it, end quote. The surrender caucus within the Republican Party will go down in infamy as weak and ineffective guardians of our nation who are willing to accept the certification of fraudulent presidential numbers. On the 5th, he tweeted out, pleased to announce that Loeffler and Perdue have just joined our great hashtag StopTheSteal group of senators. They will fight the ridiculous Electoral College certification of Biden. How do you certify numbers that have now proven to be wrong and in many cases fraudulent? The vice president has the power to reject fraudulently chosen electors. I hope the Democrats, and even more importantly, the weak and ineffective rhino section of the Republican Party, are looking at the thousands of people pouring into D.C. They won't stand for a landslide election victory to be stolen. Quoting, and then tagging other senators that have spoken out against Trump. John Cornyn, Senator John Thune, and Senator, Marjorie something. And then this is like these two, I think, are on midnight, I think, and then there's one in the day. If Vice President Mike Pence comes through for us, we will win the presidency. Many states want to decertify the mistake they made in certifying incorrect and even fraudulent numbers in a process not approved by their state legislatures. Mike can send it back. States want to correct their votes, which they now know were based on irregularities and fraud, plus corrupt process and never received legislative approval. All Mike Pence has to do is send them back to the states, and we will win, or we win. Do it, Mike. This is the time for extreme courage. The Republican Party, this is in the morning before he speaks, the Republican Party, and more importantly, our country, needs the presidency more than ever before. The power of the veto stays strong. But, okay. All right, tomorrow we'll do a speech, and then I guess the riot, what he does during the insurrection. I feel like all of these, it was McConnell, Senate Majority Leader, gotcha. I feel like it's pretty obvious what was, what the motivation and the purpose of the protest was. I think that these tweets laid out are pretty clear. This isn't even going into all of the speeches, all of the other commentators that were talking about things on Fox News, OAN, Newsmax, everything else. Like, I think it's pretty obvious that people were going there to protest the certification of the vote. They didn't want the vote to be certified. It was absolutely in mind in all of the protesters at the time they went to protest. There's no way that you're missing every single day, tweet after tweet after tweet after tweet after tweet of all this. Impossible. Impossible.